Hi ladies and gentlemen, my name is Misa, and as of this video, it is now just under 2 days until the release of WarHammer Chaosbane. I have no intent to talk about the lore or history of the WarHammer universe. This video is strictly to discuss my concerns with this upcoming action RPG, and to give you some perspective as to why you should be concerned too. I jumped at the opportunity to pre-order the Magnus edition of this game. And then Fallout 76 came out, and I got burned hard. So I canceled my Anthem pre-order, thank God. But I kept my Chaosbane, as I couldn't wait to try the beta out. I've been dying for a good hack and slash, but nothing's been delivered. I played through the first beta and I was amused. It felt like a good introduction to the genre. Classes were limited, as were the skills, but it showed promise. Second beta came out, and I got to try out the next two classes, played around with their skills, and then again started to see the writing on the walls. Now, Chaosbane has done an incredible job of engaging with the community. Twitter page is on point, and the marketing team has been releasing the perfect amount of information to keep the fan base hungry. I really respect the scope of the project Big Ben Interactive has taken on here. Creating a new IP in this day and age is a massive project. Now that said, and it really does kill me to say it, but if you have a pre-order of this game, you should seriously consider refunding that bad boy right now. I can't see this going any better than Anthem. I recognize the gravity of that statement, and I say it for numerous reasons. I'm going to go through each one as quickly as possible. Starting with pre-ordering, we just need to stop doing this. Pre-ordering gives a company free rein to do whatever they want and to not worry about the quality of the product they put out on release day. It encourages the same cycle of don't worry, we'll fix it later, and we've all experienced that from AAA studios, like with Fallout, like with Anthem. I have the feelings this is going to be the same situation. Total Biscuit was the champion of this cause, and it's sad he isn't here anymore to fight the good fight for us, but now it's up to us. We've got to listen. Now, everything you're seeing on screen is from betas 1 and 2, and that is our next topic. I understand and respect that beta tests in 2019 don't have the same meaning as they did when I was younger. That's fine. I understand that with that shift, beta tests have become a way to market your product and build hype. It's not about testing or bug elimination or feedback. It's marketing, and it's efficient marketing. So you aren't going to show off everything you'll be implementing or all the features. But from what we saw, I don't think they have anything big up their sleeves. When a game has its beta and the controls suck, inventory management is abysmal, loot is adequate at best, a core mechanic such as armor class or the whole basis of the melee character is flawed, you need to be wary, and I'll get into that more later. So let's talk about core mechanics really quick. This, first and foremost, is an action RPG, loot-driven game. From everything I've experienced in the 2 betas, there's absolutely nothing special revolving around itemization. I'm not talking fancy cosmetics or armor dye. I mean, from a base level of functionality and usefulness, it all feels the exact same. The statistics that determine your strength, magic abilities, the defenses of your characters, they're lackluster at best. They don't have any meaningful bearing on your gameplay, and there's no need to pay any attention to them. Crit, woo, more health points, whoop-de-frickin-do. All that matters is your damage arrow goes up. Why? Who cares? The amount of loot that drops is wonderful, but I can promise you it doesn't make a single difference if you equip it now or at the end of your run in 30 minutes. Chances are, if it's worth equipping, it's going to raise your damage by 3%, and don't expect it to make your character look any different. If you've played games like The Division, Division 2, Diablo 3 at launch, you should know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the overflow of useless items and horrible RNG. Currently, for the beta, you had access to 3 levels of gear, gray, blue, and yellow, or, from my perspective, common garbage, magical garbage, and kinda rare garbage. Nothing unique, nothing special. Now, you can bet there will be additional levels of rarity, but I'd be willing to bet there's nothing outside of the cookie-cutter mold of follow the rainbow. Hopefully this was an intentional feature of the beta, but again, I have massive concerns, and quite honestly, you should too. Since the beta started until now, Discord channel has been very vocal about the overall thoughts and opinions on the game, especially revolving around items. We will see if any of this will be addressed, and this is one of the main reasons why you should probably wait. Last little bit on core mechanics I'm going to mention is the auto-targeting. Well, when you're using a controller, I just don't understand why you would have this. If you're watching the gameplay, especially with the Ranger, you'll notice that the multi-shot always seems to go wide. That is auto-targeting, folks. When it comes to character classes, control, and functionality, you have 4 character classes to choose from. Soldier, Mage, Wood Elf, Slayer. What that comes down to is, do you want to shoot things from a distance or hit up close? Just know melee in both betas felt horribly underpowered and honestly plain broken. I mentioned this earlier, but the armor system in this game is horrible and broken, again, as of the beta. The soldier skills made it look like a tank, walk like a tank, sound like a tank, but a mage at the same level is just as tanky thanks to the armor system. The difference is the mage does way more damage. Characters are locked into a specific weapon they can use. I can use a one-handed sword for the first 20 levels of my game as a soldier, and then I was able to start finding one-handed maces. The Slayer gets 2 one-handed weapons. There's no two-handed weapons, no alternate skills to accommodate for that. You just have your one-handed weapon for the whole game. Inventory management as of the betas was horrible. I was playing using a control pad as there were numerous pathing issues with mouse and keyboard. So I switched to my gamepad, even though doing so made using some skills completely useless. Navigating the inventory with your control pad was okay, as items are broken down in a similar way you would have in Diablo 3 for console. Mouse and keyboard inventory is plain visual diarrhea. When I was playing with mouse and keyboard, I would switch back to the control pad just to see what I had, and then vice versa. When selling my junk, I would switch back to the mouse and keyboard for faster interaction. What it comes down to, both sets of control, mouse and control pad, feel incredibly clunky. Let's get into what should really grind your gears, the pre-order bonus and the different editions of the game. There are 3 different versions of the game you can buy, all of which, in my opinion, are massively overpriced. You have the Standard Edition, you get the game. Deluxe Edition, you get the game. Gold Boost, which is useless. The Emote Pack, sure, some people like that stuff. Pet Pack, again, sure, why not? Let's be honest, you got this for the 4 days of early access. The Magnus Digital Edition. Keep in mind there is a difference. You get everything above with the Season Pass. With these Season Passes, you are prepaying for content that you should have had delivered in the game you already paid full price for. You don't even know if the game is actually going to be any good, and you're dropping more. The last Season Pass I bought was for Division 1. I was so disheartened with that game that by the time the paid DLC came out, I had taken the game off my system. Now, there have been some updates on the Season Pass. This morning, Big Ben put out some new information on what their end game and the roadmap will look like for non-paid DLC and DLC. The non-paid DLC adds some new items, new heroic sets, a hardcore mode, level cap increase, and some new skills, with the main features seeming to be a higher difficulty level with each edition. Again, should have had all this shit delivered in the first place. The Season Pass editions are new emotes, new pets, a new god skill tree, and new skills, the main selling feature being a new story quest. Or based off how this game just doesn't deviate at all from the mold, let's just call it what it is, and you get a new act. Breaking this down, for paying the extra $20 at launch, again, without ever seeing or playing the final product, and I use that term loosely, 50% of what is being offered is cosmetic, emotes, and pets. A new act and new god skills. Severely underwhelmed. To touch on the new god skill tree, the ones in-game felt lackluster at best. The fact that if you give them extra money, they'll give you an alternative is the biggest middle finger they could give you at launch. It's essentially admitting they know exactly what they provided to you in the launch copy is trash. But if you give them more money, you have another one that might be as good, might not be. You don't know because no one's seen the new one. But wait, there's more. The Magnus Retail Edition. Everything above, but you get a leather book with it for the same price as the digital. Does anyone else not see the problem with this price balancing? Let's talk endgame, the whole reason you play an ARPG. 3 modes have been discussed: a boss rush, expedition, relic hunt. Boss rush, self-explanatory. Expedition, random maps to collect fragments to power up your gear, lower level rifts. Relic hunt, more fragments but adding difficult conditions. These are your gold dump as you need to buy them. It's an interesting concept, but the basis of why you do it is flawed. You still have the same crappy items you're trying to level up. I'll be honest, it's hard to imagine that with all the crappy games out there and all the deceptive practices that have been implemented by companies, you can't make a good ARPG. If someone wants to give me a couple $1 million budgets, I'll bust out a blockbuster in a few years. It's not that hard to look at the industry, look at what's worked in the past, what hasn't, get a couple focus groups or actually interact with your public and innovate. There are so many things that you could do with items alone that would make a game sell. Different skills on use, combining one skill to another, activating on hit, give them some cursed weapons or armor, sacrificing skills for other ones to be better. But the industry shows time and time again they are unwilling to innovate. It's hard to imagine making a game with such horrible input and interactions. You have to be trying to make inventory interactions this bad, especially in a freaking loot-based game. Looking back at games 10 to 15 years ago, Baldur's Gate, Champions of Norath, the list goes on and on. ARPGs done right, but recently, games like Dead Nation and Alien Nation, also great freaking games. They just lack that big budget and a little innovation, but solid titles for more than a reasonable price. Now, happily, there hasn't been any overt ball-fondling media coverage as there has been with the AAA, and I use that term loosely, studios releasing Fallout and Anthem. But the majority of media sites are already singing high praise for Chaos Bane, and that should seriously worry you. Happily, the majority of Steam curators are level-headed and recommending you be wary, but a lot of them out there are singing praise, encouraging you to buy based off a 5-hour beta. Looking at this process in terms of defending yourself in court. The onus is on these companies to show you that their product doesn't suck dick, not for you to take them at their word for it and assume it's solid. The majority of Reddit community as well as Discord have been level-headed, voicing excitement and apprehension. While there are some aspects of this game I really do enjoy, like the way the skill system is managed and the art style, we've been burned far too much this year, and it's time to take that lesson. Dust off your PlayStation 4, play through God of War again, pay $19 and play the incredible game that is Alien Nation, and wait for Chaos Bane to prove it deserves your $60. We have what is arguably the most profound technological advancement at our fingers, the internet. Aside from those making their lives off of streaming or trying to get into it, maybe you can try to exercise some self-control and wait an extra week. See what the streamers are thinking about the game before we shell out our money to an untested product, especially at a time where a solid, polished release would be an exception, not the rule. At the moment, I'm still contemplating if I should drop the $70 to play the quote-unquote early release, just to grind up the end game and do my part of seeing and showing if this game is actually the dumpster fire I think it will be. And that's all from me. Thanks for watching.